The world has been fascinated by the greatness of ancient Egypt for centuries. This civilization, which existed for millennia, seems to draw us through the sands of time, inviting us to unravel its mysteries. How did the ancient Egyptians live? What secrets lie behind the enormous blocks of the pyramids? These questions, like magnets, attract the minds of scientists, historians, and simple lovers of mystery. The uniqueness of ancient Egypt lies not only in its incredible achievements, but also in the aura of mystery that surrounds every aspect of it. Even in ancient times, the figures of the Egyptian pharaohs inspired other peoples. The Greeks, known for their passion for cultural appropriation, not only admired Egyptian culture, but also aspired to imitate its symbols of power. Alexander the Great, after conquering Egypt in the 4th century BC, adopted the title of pharaoh, emphasizing his claim to the throne, and founded the famous Alexandria, the future intellectual center of the ancient world. The Greeks adapted Egyptian deities like Isis into their religion, and Egyptian aesthetics permeated their architecture and art. The Romans went even further, turning obelisks and relics of the Nile Valley into a place of life, as symbols of their might. Hundreds of obelisks were transported to Rome and other cities of the empire, adorning squares and temples. Even today, obelisks brought from Egypt beautify well-known European cities as reminders of the ancient connection between cultures. But the real wave of interest in ancient Egypt erupted in Europe in 1798, when Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Egyptian lands. Along with his army, he brought with him a group of scientists and engineers, known as the Scientific Expedition. These researchers studied the architecture, writing, and daily life of the ancient Egyptians, creating a detailed description of their culture. The discovery of the Rosetta Stone, which allowed for the deciphering of Egyptian hieroglyphs, was a turning point for understanding this civilization. Shortly after, the era of Egyptomania began. Inspired by the discoveries, Europeans began to buy mummies and artifacts on a massive scale, organizing mummy parties where they would unwrap the bandages of the remains in front of an astonished audience. Artists and architects drew inspiration from the motifs of ancient Egypt, creating jewelry, interiors, and even stylish clothing. The Napoleonic expedition sparked in Europe a thirst to unveil the secrets of Egypt, turning it into a symbol of greatness and mystery that continues to intrigue people to this day. Wealthy Europeans in the late 18th and 19th centuries were literally obsessed with Egyptomania. Ancient Egypt became not only a subject of scientific interest, but also a trend among high society. At that time, mummies were not seen as sacred remains, but rather as exotic trophies. They were imported from Egypt in large quantities and sold at auctions or to private collectors. However, few were content with just making a simple purchase. The so-called mummy parties became a kind of entertainment. During these events, the hosts would unwrap the bandages from the bodies of ancient Egyptians in front of an astonished audience, as if they were opening a door to antiquity for their guests. These events were often accompanied by discussions about mystical stories, and even rumors about the curse of the pharaohs, which added to the intrigue. Archaeological expeditions, funded by wealthy patrons and kings, were another important step in the journey toward the study of ancient Egypt. The funding for these trips was generous, allowing scientists to explore not only pyramids and temples, but also tombs hidden beneath layers of sand. Each new artifact or discovery caused excitement and amazement. Thus, among other things, papyrus texts were discovered that no one had been able to understand for centuries. Only with the appearance of the Rosetta Stone and the subsequent deciphering of the hieroglyphs did a new era begin in the understanding of ancient Egypt's history. The discoveries of structures that had remained hidden beneath the sand dunes for centuries were also of great importance. Gigantic temples, magnificent tombs with polychrome frescoes, and enigmatic sphinxes seemed to come to life, telling their stories. Each artifact found added new chapters to the history of this ancient civilization, but at the same time, it raised new questions. For example, How did the Egyptians manage to build such complex structures considering the technological level of the time? Or why were certain texts intentionally encrypted? Among the many mysteries of Egypt, the famous pyramids stand out. These majestic structures, built 4,500 years ago, continue to be a source of admiration and endless controversy. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the largest of the existing monuments today, was built with 2.5 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2.5 and 16 tons. It's surprising that many of these blocks were quarried in Aswan, over 800 kilometers from Giza. How could the ancient builders transport them such a long distance? This question remains one of the greatest enigmas in history. Hypotheses and theories about the construction of pyramids. One of the most plausible theories is that the stone blocks were moved on giant sleds that slid over wet sand. A similar image was found in the tomb of Yehut and Jotep, where some men are dragging a huge statue and in front of them, a person is pouring water. However, the transportation is just one part of the job. How were the blocks raised to more than 140 meters high? Archaeologists suggest that the builders used ramps, but what exactly were they like? It remains a mystery. Some believe they were straight ramps, while others talk about complex spiral constructions. Equally interesting is the question, why did the Egyptians stop building pyramids? The answer could lie in a change in religious beliefs. When the capital moved from Memphis to Thebes, the land around the new center turned out to be unsuitable for building such massive structures. Instead, they began to dig tombs into the rocks. This method turned out to be more practical, since it protected the graves from looters. In addition, engineer Peter James proposed the hypothesis that the pyramids were suffering from deformation. He discovered that the limestone blocks were shifting over time, destroying the structure. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why the Egyptians began to look for other ways to immortalize their pharaohs. Current science provides new tools for the study of ancient constructions. Using modern scanning methods, hidden cavities have been discovered in the Great Pyramid of Cheops. In the northern part of the pyramid, a small chamber measuring 4.5 meters in length has been found. Scientists suggest that it could be a corridor leading to the burial chambers. A mysterious lagoon over 30 meters long has been found. What is it? Possibly a hidden room with treasures or an unused second burial chamber. For now, they are just hypotheses. Every discovery related to the pyramids not only provides answers, but also raises new questions. Ancient Egypt continues to amaze us. Their mysteries are a reminder of how much we still have to learn about our ancestors. Maybe someday scientists will find a way to definitively unveil these secrets, but for now, the pyramids of Giza remain a great symbol of human genius and the incomprehensibility of the past.